Imaba. I'm 20 years old, and this is my story. You know, when you're in high school, especially that junior and senior year, it feels like your entire world shrinks down to a single point: college. Everything you do, every class you take, every extracurricular, every single minute of study, it's all laser focused on getting into that one perfect school. For me, that school was MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Just the name itself, it felt like magic. A place where the smartest, most driven minds came together to build the future. And I wanted to be one of them, desperately. I grew up in a pretty standard suburban American town. Not super wealthy, not struggling, just normal. My parents are great, loving, hardworking people. They always encouraged my brother, Liam, and me to pursue our passions. But from an early age, it was clear my passion was a little different. While other kids were outside playing, I was dissecting electronics, reading science textbooks for fun, or trying to code a simple game on my dad's old desktop. I was obsessed with how things worked, with problem solving, with innovation. MIT wasn't just a dream. It was a destination. It was the embodiment of everything I wanted to be. A place where my curiosity wouldn't just be tolerated, but celebrated. Where I could push the boundaries of what I thought was possible. Getting into MIT isn't just hard. It's a marathon. A brutal, relentless, intellectual triathlon. I took every AP science and math class my high school offered. I was the president of the robotics club, captain of the science Olympiad team, and somehow squeezed in volunteering at the local library teaching kids basic coding. My GPA was almost perfect, my SAT scores were through the roof, and my essays, oh, those essays. They were meticulously crafted, rewritten countless times, each word chosen with precision to convey not just my intelligence, but my genuine passion. My laptop, my trusty silver MacBook Pro, was my lifeline. It was my portal to the world of higher learning. It held all my research papers, my code, my lecture notes, my meticulously organized college application spreadsheets. It was where I spent countless hours hunched over, fueled by lukewarm coffee and the sheer will to succeed. It was my connection to professors I sought advice from, to online forums where I debated physics theories, to the MIT application portal itself. That laptop wasn't just a piece of technology. It was an extension of my ambition, a symbol of my future. It was my best friend, my tireless assistant, my silent confidant through countless late nights. And then there was Liam, my younger brother, 2 years my junior. He was different. Where I was focused and driven, Liam was more spontaneous, more social, more, well, chaotic. He wasn't bad, not at all. He had a good heart, a quick wit, and he was genuinely funny. But he struggled in school. Not because he wasn't smart, but because he just didn't care about the same things I did. He preferred video games, hanging out with his friends, and making people laugh. He was good at that last one. He was a natural charmer, always the center of attention in a crowd, whereas I was more comfortable in the quiet hum of a server room. Our relationship, as siblings, was complicated. For a long time, it was typical brother-sister stuff. Teasing, bickering over the TV remote, sharing secrets. But as I got deeper into my high school grind, a subtle shift began. The constant studying, the late nights, the stress etched on my face, it started to create a wedge between us. I think my parents, bless their hearts, contributed to it unintentionally. They were so proud of my academic achievements, and they talked about it a lot. Ava's going to do amazing things, they'd say at family gatherings. She's working so hard for MIT. And while I appreciated their support, I could see the way Liam would sort of deflate or crack a sarcastic joke to deflect attention. He'd hear them praising me and retreat into his own world, often with his headphones on, blasting music or diving into a game. He started to resent my laptop, I think. He'd walk into my room, see me hunched over it, and his shoulders would visibly slump. "Still studying, Ava?" he'd mumble, his voice laced with a strange mix of annoyance and something else I couldn't quite place at the time. Sometimes he'd try to talk to me, to show me something funny online, or ask me to play a game, and I'd absent-mindedly wave him off, my eyes still glued to the screen, my brain still wrestling with a complex physics problem. Later, Liam. I can't right now. I must have said that 1,000 times. I saw his behavior as typical younger brother annoyance, a bit of jealousy, sure, but nothing more. I was so wrapped up in my own world, my own goals, that I genuinely didn't fully grasp what was happening on his side. He felt neglected, overshadowed. He saw the laptop not just as my tool, but as the barrier between us, the thing that stole my attention, that made me distant and perpetually stressed. He saw it as the symbol of the insurmountable gap between our paths, the constant reminder of what he felt he wasn't. He would sometimes make comments that stung. Why do you even try so hard? It's just a school. Or, you're going to burn out before you even get there. I dismissed them as ignorant, as coming from someone who just didn't understand the drive, the ambition. I didn't realize he was trying to communicate something deeper, something he perhaps didn't even have the words for. The actual MIT application process was grueling. Beyond the grades and scores, the essays were notorious. They wanted to know about my specific interests, my biggest failures, how I contributed to my community, and even what I'd bring to the roommate dynamic. Each one required introspection, authenticity, and a massive chunk of time. I remember one essay, the Build Something prompt, where I wrote about designing and coding a basic home automation system using a Raspberry Pi. I poured hours into it, meticulously describing the circuit diagrams, the Python script, the trial and error, the thrill of seeing my idea come to life. That essay felt like a piece of my soul. Another asked about my favorite book, and I chose a theoretical physics text, not to sound smart, but because it genuinely fascinated me. Every night, after school, after dinner, after club meetings, I'd be back at my desk, the glow of the laptop screen illuminating my face. My parents would often pop their heads in. Don't stay up too late, honey. Liam would sometimes walk by, linger for a moment, and then just keep going, the gap between us widening with each passing hour. The deadline loomed like a thundercloud. January 1st. My friends were celebrating New Year's Eve, but I was meticulously reviewing every single field on the application portal. Did I check everything? Is my transcript uploaded correctly? Are my recommendations all in? Is this essay the absolute best it can be? The anxiety was a physical weight on my chest. On December 31st, just hours before the new year, I sat in my room, the house quiet, everyone else either asleep or downstairs watching TV.
It was just me and my laptop.
I had done it. Every essay polished, every detail triple-checked. My fingers hovered over the submit button. It felt monumental. This wasn't just a click. It was the culmination of years of hard work, sacrifices, and dreams. I took a deep breath, and with a silent prayer, I clicked. The screen changed. Congratulations, Ava. Your application has been successfully submitted. A wave of pure, unadulterated relief washed over me. It was done. The weight lifted. I didn't jump up and down. I didn't scream for joy. I just sat there, a quiet, profound sense of accomplishment settling over me. I wanted to tell someone, to share the monumental news, but it was late. And part of me, a small, superstitious part, wanted to keep it a secret for just a little while longer, to savor that personal victory before anyone else could comment or put pressure on it. So, I closed my laptop, went to bed, and slept more soundly than I had in months. The next few weeks were a strange limbo. The pressure of the application was gone, replaced by the gnawing anxiety of waiting. I still studied, of course, keeping my grades up, but the relentless, urgent pace had slowed. Liam, however, seemed to become even more agitated. He'd try to get my attention, tugging at my sleeve while I was reading, or putting his video game controller right in front of my face when I was trying to focus on homework. He'd complain more loudly about me being boring or always studying. One evening, about 2 weeks after I submitted my MIT application, I was in my room, working on a complex problem for my AP physics class. It was a Friday night and most kids were out or watching movies. But I had a test coming up and I really wanted to nail this concept. My laptop was open, displaying multiple tabs, the textbook, a simulation program, and my notes. I was deep in thought, tracing circuits in my mind, oblivious to anything else. Liam burst into my room without knocking, something he did often. He was holding his phone, looking exasperated.
Ava.
Seriously? You're still doing homework? It's Friday night. Come on, let's watch that new movie on Netflix, or play some Mario Kart. Everyone else is doing something fun, he exclaimed, his voice high-pitched with frustration. I didn't even look up. Liam, I told you I have a physics test on Monday. This is really important. Just 5 more minutes, please. My tone was probably sharper than I intended, my focus unbreakable. 5 more minutes. It's always 5 more minutes with you, he retorted, his voice rising. You're always studying. You're never around anymore. You never do anything fun. I sighed, finally looking up, my patience thinning. I'm sorry if my priorities don't align with yours, Liam. This is for my future. This is important to me. Your future? What about now? What about your own brother? He yelled, and I could hear the genuine hurt in his voice, but I was too stressed, too annoyed, to really process it. Liam, just leave me alone. I snapped, turning back to my screen, trying to signal the end of the conversation. I just wanted to finish this problem. That was it. That was the last straw for him. The air in the room suddenly changed. I felt a surge of energy, a different kind of anger radiating from him. I heard him take a step forward. You know what? He said, his voice dangerously low, a tremor in it that I now recognize as a mixture of rage and despair. Maybe if you didn't have this stupid thing, you'd actually hang out with me. Maybe you'd actually pay attention to your own brother. Before I could even register what he was saying, before I could turn around, I heard a sickening crack. I froze. My head snapped around. Liam was standing there, his face contorted in a mask of anger, regret, and something that looked like a terrifying satisfaction. And in his hands, or rather where his hands had been, was my laptop. It was mangled. The screen was bent back at an impossible angle, detached from the keyboard, wires exposed like raw nerves. The keyboard itself was twisted, keys popped off. It looked like he had slammed it down, hard, probably against the corner of my desk, and then perhaps even twisted it. The beautiful, sleek silver was now a crumpled, shattered mess of plastic and metal. For a full second, I couldn't breathe. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. It was surreal. My laptop, my everything destroyed. Then, a scream tore through me. Not a scream of anger, not yet. A scream of pure, gut-wrenching despair.
No.
Liam, what did you do? Tears sprang to my eyes, hot and sudden, blurring my vision. I scrambled out of my chair, rushing to the desk, staring at the ruined machine. It wasn't just a laptop. It was my dream, my hard work, my entire future, lying there in pieces. Liam, who had seemed so furious moments before, now looked utterly terrified. His anger had evaporated, replaced by a ghastly pallor. His eyes were wide, darting from the destroyed laptop to my face, then back again. He took a shaky step backward. Ava, I told you to stop studying. I just wanted you to look at me. His voice was a choked whisper, filled with a sickening mix of defiance and absolute horror at his own actions. My scream brought my parents rushing upstairs. They burst into my room, their faces etched with alarm. They took one look at the shattered laptop, then at Liam's pale, trembling form, then at my tear-streaked face. Liam, what have you done? My mom's voice was sharp, laced with disbelief and fury. My dad rushed over to the desk, examining the remains of the laptop. He looked up at Liam, his expression grim. Son, what possessed you? Liam just stood there, speechless, probably realizing the enormity of his actions. He had gone too far. Far too far. I was sobbing uncontrollably now, pointing at the mangled electronics. He broke it. He broke my laptop. My MIT application was on there. Everything was on there. He ruined everything. My words were a jumbled mess of grief and rage. My mom tried to hug me, but I pulled away, my focus still on the shattered pieces. My dad turned to Liam, his voice firm. Go to your room, Liam.
Now.
We'll talk about this later. Liam, still pale and silent, slunk out of the room, his shoulders hunched. The rest of the evening was a blur of tears, anger, and the crushing weight of loss. My parents tried to console me. They assured me they'd get me a new laptop, that they'd try to recover the data. But in my mind, it was too late. My application, the essays, the recommendations, they were all gone. My future, shattered along with the screen. But what about my MIT application? I cried, my voice raw. The deadline was weeks ago. I can't just resubmit.
I truly believed it was all gone.
My mind, reeling from the shock, had convinced itself that all my hard work was irrevocably lost. The idea that I had already submitted it was buried under layers of panic and despair. My parents looked at each other, confused. Ava, what are you talking about? Didn't you say you submitted it already? My mom asked gently, trying to piece together my frantic words. I blinked, my tears momentarily halting.
No.
I mean, yes, I was going to, but now it's gone. All the files. All the essays. I can't even check if it went through. I was so convinced that the laptop's destruction meant the application's destruction. My logical brain had completely abandoned me in that moment of trauma. My dad, ever the calm one, knelt beside me. Ava, honey, breathe. You told us you submitted it on New Year's Eve, remember? You were so relieved. His words hit me like a splash of cold water. New Year's Eve. The quiet triumph. The relief. The click of the button.
Oh, my God.
It was true. I had submitted it. Weeks ago. It was already out there, sailing through the digital ether, on its way to the admissions committee. The essays were already read, the recommendations reviewed, my scores factored in. The laptop, while crucial for the preparation, was no longer necessary for the submission. The immediate, gut-wrenching despair that had gripped me began to recede, replaced by a different, equally complex wave of emotions. Relief, yes, monumental relief. My future wasn't destroyed after all. But alongside that relief, a fresh wave of anger surged. Liam didn't know.
He had thought he was stopping me.
He had thought he was destroying my chances, sabotaging my dreams. And that, in a way, was even worse. His intent was still to hurt, to derail, to stop me from studying, as he so clearly put it. The fact that it was ultimately futile didn't diminish the malicious intent behind the act. I wiped my eyes furiously, the tears now from pure rage. He didn't know. He didn't know I already sent it. I yelled, the injustice of it all burning through me. He still tried to ruin everything. My parents looked at each other again, their expressions a mix of relief that my dreams weren't shattered, and continued dismay at Liam's actions. My mom came over and pulled me into a tight hug this time, and I didn't resist. I just cried into her shoulder, the raw emotion of the last hour finally pouring out. Later that night, after I had calmed down a bit, and a new, albeit temporary, laptop had been set up, my parents had a long, serious talk with Liam. I could hear muffled voices from the living room, my dad's calm but firm tone, my mom's more emotional interjections, and Liam's quiet, broken replies. When they finally came to my room, their faces were tired, but softer. Ava, my mom began, Liam is truly sorry. He knows what he did was unforgivable. My dad continued, He said he felt like you were slipping away. He felt neglected, Ava. He said the laptop represented everything that was taking you from him. He felt like he was losing his sister to your studies, to your future. A cold knot formed in my stomach. It wasn't an excuse, not by a long shot. Nothing could excuse what he did. But it was a reason. A flawed, misguided, incredibly destructive reason. It painted a picture of a younger brother who was genuinely hurting, struggling to articulate his feelings, feeling overshadowed and left behind. I didn't forgive him immediately. How could I? The image of my shattered laptop, the raw fear I felt for my future, the betrayal, that wasn't going to vanish overnight. But a tiny crack appeared in my wall of anger. A small sliver of understanding. He wasn't just being mean for the sake of it. He was lashing out from a place of deep emotional pain. Liam was grounded for months. He had to pay for a new laptop out of his savings, and my parents matched it. He also had to do extra chores and was restricted from his video games. More importantly, he had to write me a sincere, heartfelt apology letter, and he had to talk to me. Really talk. That first conversation was awkward, painful.
He cried.
He genuinely regretted it. He said he didn't know what came over him, that he was just so angry and sad that I seemed to be drifting further and further away. He admitted he felt stupid compared to me, that he hated how everyone always compared us. I listened. I didn't say much at first, still too raw. But over time, the conversations became easier. We started to rebuild. It wasn't an instant fix. Trust, once shattered, takes a long, long time to piece back together. But we started. And what about MIT? The application I thought was lost? Well, the universe, it seems, has a strange sense of humor, or perhaps a deep appreciation for dramatic irony. Months later, in March, I got the email. The subject line made my heart pound. MIT admissions decision. I remember sitting there, staring at it, my hands shaking. This was it. The moment of truth. I clicked it open. Dear Ava, it began. We are delighted to inform you of your acceptance to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I got in. I actually got in. The elation was overwhelming. It wasn't just an acceptance. It was a vindication. A testament to all the late nights, all the hard work, all the dreams that no broken laptop, no misguided act of sibling rivalry could ever truly destroy. The incident with Liam taught me so much. It taught me about resilience, about picking myself up even when it felt like my world was crumbling. It taught me that my dreams were stronger than any obstacle. But more profoundly, it taught me about empathy. It forced me to look beyond my own goals, my own tunnel vision, and really see my brother. To understand his struggles, his insecurities, his need for connection. It taught me about the silent battles people fight, even those closest to you. My relationship with Liam isn't perfect now, but it's stronger, more honest. We talk more.
He's proud of me, genuinely.
And I make sure to carve out time for him, to really be present, to listen when he talks about his day, to play Mario Kart with him, to just be his sister, not just the girl who's always studying. I'm now a sophomore at MIT, studying electrical engineering and computer science. It's everything I dreamed of and more. It's challenging, inspiring, and sometimes overwhelming, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Every time I open my laptop, a new, much more robust one, I think of that day, and it serves as a powerful reminder. The things you value most can be fragile, but your spirit, your determination, your dreams, those are unbreakable. And sometimes, in the most unexpected and painful ways, life forces you to confront not just your own journey, but the journeys of those you love, making you stronger, wiser, and more compassionate in the process. Thank you for listening to my story. It's been a wild ride, and I hope it resonates with some of you out there. If you enjoyed hearing about my journey and my unexpected twist, please consider giving this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more personal stories, advice on college life, and maybe even some STEM tips. And if you know someone who needs a little reminder about resilience or empathy, feel free to share this video. Your support means the world to me. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.